What's up, dude? How you doing?
Yo, I'm good. I'm good, man. How are you? I just,
I love to hear your voice. You probably hear that occasionally, but man, I love to hear your voice.
a few times, a few times. But thank you. I appreciate that, man. It's good to see you. It's been forever.
Yeah, it's been a really long time.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and give the context as I often try to when I know somebody. When I do this show, sometimes I talk to people I've never really met, and I get to know them on the show, which is fun. This is not one of those. This is my old buddy Dev Reddy's on the show, and I'm excited to kind of catch up with you. We had a personal chat not long ago. Sometimes when I do this, it's literally the first time I'm talking to them in like 10 years. That's happened a lot, actually.
Man,
But
man.
you and I like caught up the other day. So I'll probably, give the listeners a little BTS. I'm going to ask some questions I already know the answer to. What's up?
Yeah.
Welcome to Behind the Scenes. But I am going to ask you some new stuff that I'm really excited to hear the answer to, because I have no idea the context, I guess, of how we know each other. We were both at school around the same time, not the same class. I was 1 year ahead, 2 years ahead.
1 or 2 years.
I don't remember.
The point is you're ahead.
Yeah. I have a fun relationship with you though, man, because you showed up on campus and we met early on the first few days. Like I met you very quickly, and you told me that you saw the complete works of Shakespeare abridged with Dave Brown and Brandon Harris and Alex Heffler. I directed that, and you came up to me and you were like, "Hey, did you do that?" And I was like,
right.
Yeah, who are you? And that was like years ago at this point.
Yeah.
It had been 2 or 3 years. And I was like, that wasn't like a in the paper production, just blow it out. But you saw it.
That was baller. Though you guys did amazing. Man, you actually brought back an energy just hearing about that production. That was a baller show.
Yeah, kudos, it's one of my favorite things we ever did. And it's what got me into the drama school, honestly.
Yeah. Damn right. Damn shit. It's well done. Very well done.
But we could tell that I'll have one of those boys on one day, and we'll tell the story of doing that show. But so you saw in what context did you see that? Remind me about that, because that I don't remember.
I saw it when I was in high school.
So did we take it to your high school and like perform
you took it to my high school, and I knew what I wanted to do in my life, because Alex Heffler was a beast.
Yeah, he's amazing.
That boy's a beast.
All three of those boys, not to cast a pall on Alex, but that's why it was so good. All three of them are superstars.
Yeah, that was talent, and then the direction of it, coordination, the whole thing, and I was like, wow. Whatever play I was doing at the time immediately sucked.
It's so funny because it's not even like, all right, I'll give a little context without telling the full story, just because I think this is an interesting first thing. And to hear you say what you just said. Okay, so the complete works of William Shakespeare abridged is a silly play written in the 1980s where three Shakespeare lovers, silly aficionados of Shakespeare, decide they're going to perform in one night everything he ever wrote. Essentially works out to be Hamlet is all of Act 2, and everything else is in Act 1. And so these three guys have to play all the boys, all the girls, all the old people, all the young people, all the animals. They run around stage throwing on wigs, and it's very silly. The reason we did this play and the reason it was performed at Dev's high school is because when the class of 2010 were seniors, they had to do what every drama senior has to do, and they have to raise money to go to Los Angeles. New York's paid for. They have to raise the money for LA, if you're listening and don't know, or that has changed. For the longest time, trip to New York is paid for. LA, you got to figure out, you got a year, one school year, do a bunch of shows, figure out a fucking fundraiser, do a garage sale, raise the money. Every class has a few things built in, but we came up with this extra thing. Let's do this complete work show. It only takes the three boys, and we'll try to make some money off of it. I was not even in their class, and I was just friends with them. So I directed it because I had already done the play with Brandon. We were in it together in high school, he and I. That's how we knew it.
Oh, wow.
So we were like, let's do complete works again. We already kind of know it. We're way better. Well, whatever. And we ended up going to schools because a grant that was through the school, basically we found out about, functioned. as an outreach program to like bring education to schools. So there was money available if you took a educational piece of art and took it to a school actively, scheduled it and showed it to the kids, and then went back to the grant and said, hey, we showed them the fucking thing. They're like, great, here's like $700 for whatever your art thing is. We put all that towards Showcase. Dude, we made so fucking much money off that show, off that program, because we didn't know that fountain existed. And so we're going school to school of all ages. We're elementary, middle, high school. And we end up at your school because my only stock question on At the Elephants, where are you from, Dev Reddy?
Actually, I'm from Lawton, Oklahoma.
Okay, tie it into the fucking point I was getting to.
Yeah, well, first off, fucking Rob. So for a side note, man, if any of that money you guys made needs a place to stay,
right?
I know a guy.
They blew it all on convertibles in Los Angeles. It's gone. It's gone.
Which is a sin. Which is a sin. Anyways, I came from Lawton, Oklahoma, out, and I went to audition for the School of the Arts. Of course, my life story is never usual. I kind of want to be a boring person, but unfortunately, life wants my life to be interesting.
Well, let's take it one step at a head one step at a time, because I got to clear this up. I was trying to lead you towards I'm from Winston-Salem because that's what I thought. That's where I thought you were from. I'm learning this Oklahoma story now.
You thought I was from Winston?
Yeah.
No, I'm too exciting to be from here.
Do you have family in Winston-Salem?
I don't have family anywhere.
Well, okay. But at the time that I met you, how am I making this up?
No, you're not. It's been like 10 years. I don't blame you. You're basically Joe Biden in theater. You don't remember. Can't remember anything.
Hey, listen, man. Here's the deal. Okay, I know you. I know where you're from, man. Look. It's not a joke. Okay, I'm not messing around here.
Listen, man. I have to joke around at every.
I got a loose ass Joe Biden impression. It's not good. The fact that you didn't catch it is not your fault. Let's talk about this Lawton, Oklahoma thing. I have family in Oklahoma, but I don't know this city. Where is it? East to west.
Oh, Lawton is in a place that you don't want to go.
Okay.
It's near Oklahoma University. It's a very, very dangerous place.
Is it?
Yeah. It's definitely dangerous. I actually went there and I was going to be renting out a house and stuff like that. And the house that I was renting out, on Christmas Day, a guy was stabbed. So,
in the house?
Yeah. In the house that I was going to buy, a guy was stabbed on Christmas Day and he died. So
that's a bad omen.
Yeah, I told him I changed my mind. It's like Santa Claus came early.
So you're born in Lawton?
Yeah.
And how you live there all the way to like 18? Because at some point we brought it to your Winston-Salem high school.
Yeah, most of my life I lived there, and I went maybe when I was 14. Came to high school, bounced around a few high schools, and Glenn, and it was in Kernersville. It's called Kernersville.
Got it.
Yeah. So after that, I auditioned for the school. Am I going too fast?
No, go ahead.
All right.
Tell your story, bro. I'll redirect if I got something.
Yeah, my story was like, okay, so from high school to college, I actually had to walk to college. I had to walk to audition because I didn't have anyone to drive or take me there personally. So by the time I walked to the campus, it was too late to turn in my application. I had missed the deadline barely, so I'm soaking and sweating, and the moon is out now. And I was going to turn and walk back. And then I heard a voice in the darkness. Hey, what's going on? And I was like, who's that? Hey, how you doing? I came to turn in my application. She was like, oh, well, it's a little too late now. And I was like, I understand. And she was like, wait, did you walk here? I was like, boy, did I. She's like, you're sweating.
How far is the walk?
It was about a 2.5 hour walk. So, and that's with big feet. So in normal time, maybe it would have taken like 4 hours. But yeah, I was sprinting as much as I could.
Who was the
And
person, and what did they say to you next?
he was a film student named Chris Barkley. You're dope. You're baller if you're watching this. And she said, you know what? I'm going to take your application. I'm going to submit it late. I'm going to tell them what happened. I know a few guys. And all of a sudden, I had two upperclassmen, Daniel Boys Ron, Jacoby Howard, who vouched for me to get into the school and give me an opportunity to not be homeless. So thank you guys.
So
and,
housing on campus was like the thing you needed.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
That's a very specific situation to be in. At what age are you coming in? 17?
Had 18? To be 17. Yeah, 17.
Right, on track. How does that change the way you relate to your classmates who are not going to this school with the thing in their head of like, oh, let's not be homeless. I need to live here. That's not the same situation that your classmates are in. Does that dynamic affect the way you communicate with them, relate to them in class and stuff like that?
Absolutely. When I first got to school, I was dehydrated, man. I wasn't used to like food and water consistently. And so having that and having classmates who came from Beverly Hills or New York or something like this, I mean, we had polar opposite backgrounds. So it took a while to connect. And I started connecting to them when I realized that, they were able to buy me a sandwich from time to time. And so I thought, man, these guys are really great. Gus Halper hooked me up with the ham and cheese, and from there I just said I'm going to train because the school gave me an opportunity. So I said I'm going to give them everything I have left in this dehydrated body.
What is your, before you find Schoolyards? Okay, so let's back up a little bit because I am interested in how this develops. You say that are you a senior when we bring the show to you?
Yeah, I was a senior at that time. Yeah,
in Kernersville and high school, right?
That's right.
Okay. And you had come at the beginning-ish of high school to North Carolina, and you said you went to a couple of different schools?
Yeah, I went to a few different schools, just because some were easier to walk to certain years. When I didn't have a car or something like that, or someone to take me to school, I was always walking.
I don't mean to point out the elephant in the room here, but you're telling the story of a child as if you are an adult. Like I'm hearing a story about a young man who's like, I had to walk because I didn't have a car and I didn't have food. And if you were telling me the story when you were like 26, I'd be like, man, this guy's really going through something. But I've been fucking kind of close to that same story, so I can relate. But I will say, though, I didn't grow up super privileged in high school. I wasn't walking to auditions. I wasn't struggling to eat. What is the dynamic that creates this for you in high school where you're so adrift and so without means?
Oh, there's I'm black. A lot of
okay, but that's not like automatic.
Well, I'm black.
Was I supposed to jump to that conclusion, Dev? Because I don't think that would make me look good.
No, you'd be canceled immediately. No.
You imagine if my response was like, "Oh shit, you're right. I hadn't even thought about that."
And he's black.
Man, it makes me sound stupid that I asked the question, bro. All right. Continue.
This is just a really good tan I've got. But no, man. A lot of us come from challenging upbringings, and usually the father is not in a black household, and it's like almost become an American tradition to have.
And yours wasn't?
Black. Oh man, listen. So my weird position as a kid was I had so many families. I grew up in a Mexican household, a white household, a black household, a white household.
Were you in foster care?
I was in community care where like I went to church, and I had different families who said, I'll take him nights and weekends, and then I'll take this guy in the morning. He can get cereal over here at this house. So we had the snack house. Yeah, so I literally, I haven't been able to concentrate until I got into college.
Right, because it was so unpredictable.
Yeah, my whole life I had no idea what happened. So I just walk around with Walmart bags, just hoping something great happened that day.
Man, I have to tell you, first of all, I love doing this fucking show. I would never know that about you. And I've known you for so long and we've talked so much. We've done like multiple deep projects together where we talked about real shit. And I'm just learning all of this about you, which I think is pretty clear. It's not something that's like fun for you to fucking talk about, first of all. And I respect the shit out of that. Oh, yeah. Second of all, I want to say, like, bro, that reads to me. Like when I think about meeting you at 17, when I think about the first conversation, like, oh, you know, you did complete works. And even later when you came to me more than once and were like, I have this project, I want you to direct it. I want to work with you, you know, which I always took as a compliment, but also like, man, I'm trying to articulate myself. Normally I'm pretty quick at, but I want to get this right. When I think about those moments, when I think about getting to know you and meeting you initially, you say to me, I wasn't able to concentrate and I never knew what was going on. Man, that reads to me in such a strong way. And I don't want you to take that in a negative way, because I still said yes to you in those moments, because I saw this talent and I saw this energy that I thought was fascinating and really pretty brilliant, but like floating around in the fucking wind, bro. Like the fucking I think about the feather in Forrest Gump, just like off in the it doesn't know where the fuck it's gonna land, if it's gonna exist tomorrow. Like there's this but it's going. And it's you know, there was such an admiration for something I have for you at that time that I could not put my finger on. And I was also witnessing other people objectively, not like I had long conversations about you with other people, but objectively being like, not sure I get that dude. Not sure I know what his vibe is. And I remember being like, I'm not sure I know what his vibe is, but I like something about this shit. And I want to connect with it so bad. And I really always look back on the projects we did together with Emily, with Gus and Zach, all the things we worked on. I'm like, man, first of all, the shit was usually great. Second of all, what the fuck is that dude up to now? Is he still blowing around and has this 4 years of structure? Go here, do this, foods in the calf, doing some of this. Is this giving you that stability, that sturdiness that you're able to start to build a foundation to stack that talent on top of and really build shit? Which takes me to my next, you know, act of where you're at.
Yeah, I mean, so in the college experience, a lot of it was like for me almost feral, where it's like these other kids are talking about William Shakespeare, and I'm just surprised that they've got like unlimited Cocoa Puffs in the cafeteria. Like, you guys know this is here, right?
The hierarchy of need. You know about that?
Well, I can identify with the statement.
You put the context clues together. Mary Irwin taught me this. That's why I even bring it up. That hierarchy of fucking can't remember the guy's name. Something Maslow. It's somebody who's like Blank's hierarchy of need. And it's this philosophy thing that's like, you can't think about the fucking Shakespeare until you get the Cocoa Puffs handled. Your brain is not meant to be like, oh, where are we going to go on vacation? When you're like, fucking, I need to eat food. I need shelter. Like, you have to accomplish these. Then you can do this. Then you can do this. And it actually builds.
That makes sense to me. I mean, William Shakespeare is a great writer, but he's never written anything better than Frosted Flakes. You know, like, like, you know what I mean?
They're great.
People were chasing women. I was chasing food, man. You know, it's just like, I would love to be with one of these ballet dancers, but I don't have time. I've got to eat them.
Right.
So, but no,
how long does it take to get that stability where you're like, okay, food is here, I can trust that?
I think the first year of just having housing was cool. Coming back and having a sink that runs in your dorm, and you know, they were like,
roommate?
Oh, no, thank God, I didn't have any roommate. I was one of the few that didn't have it, and that was
you had a single in the dorms?
Yeah, man, I was
unheard of. It was like 8 of them.
Penthouse. It was like, man, it was dope. It was dope to be alone, but in a space with water.
Yeah.
I know this sounds funny and sad and funny.
I don't know if it's sad as much as it is happy to me, dude, because when people say shit like that, like they're like,
Yeah.
oh man, I was just happy to have XYZ. That probably sounds sad. I'm like, it sounds like you had it at that point, which in this story,
as far as I was concerned, like a dorm room, I was a baller, man.
right.
That was my New York penthouse was the dorm.
So
And
what did
years
it give
later,
you as far as confidence? Maybe it took even longer in that department, but confidence to be like, okay, I can start to take some of that bottom hierarchy of need for granted. I could start to be like, okay, I will get food figured out. I will get shelter figured out. I will at some point solve those problems. Let me start thinking about what I want to build, what I want to do, what I want in this life. I mean, when do you think that starts to kick in for you? It seems to be happening now.
oh yeah, definitely now with my career and things like that now it's amazing. I wouldn't ask for any other career, you know, except maybe Elizabeth Williams. But I think I love that girl. But
I
no,
love her too, but you be a fucking dog shit frozen princess, man. And I say that with so much love. I think you can do a lot
listen,
of shit, but I don't think that's the thing for you.
yeah, probably, but I'd probably build a damn good snowman.
Yeah,
But
I don't doubt that at all.
yeah,
Hey, man, when it comes to Snowman and Disney and shit, man, that's about voice acting. And in that department, you might start just lighting motherfuckers up, like
yeah.
closing it down.
But remember, I always needed water, so I'd probably eat that snowman.
Yeah.
So
All right, let's take it one step at a time.
I got you. I got you.
I I want to talk about you leaving school in a second and what that was like for you. But first, I want to ask you
Sure.
about. I want to talk about The Voice, man. The Voice is such a conversation piece for you. Obviously, ironically, it is something we talked about at school. We got kind of to the bottom of, especially I think when we were working on Patch of Blue, because we were
Oh
working
yeah.
on a Sidney Poitier piece. And
Yeah.
you kind of went into like how big of an influence he specifically was on you and other actors that you were not just watching, but most importantly, listening to when you were young and how that shaped
Yeah.
your voice. And then, of course, you go out into life. And like you mentioned earlier, you're a Black man in America. You sound like you do. And what is the response you get? Maybe take that one piece at a time.
Yeah. Well, Sidney Poitier, from what I got out of his work was just fluidity.
Right.
You know, being in a moment, but moving beat to beat fluidly. Like, I think as actors, you feel like something always have to be happening. And, you know, things are usually happening, but not always about you and yourself, but your partner. So with Sidney Poitier, he was just very available to connect and be there. And even the way he walks and he flows and talks and things like that, it's not like he's forcing anything to happen. So the
Right.
only thing I concentrated on with his work was fluidity. You
Got
know,
it.
so that evolved my work. And I'm pretty tough, I guess, as a critic, or you know, as they say. So for me and my money, the first 3 years for me personally in acting school, I was like average. I was like, you know, maybe a little bit above average as an actor. And but I didn't really find my pulse until probably fourth year, middle of fourth year, something like that. And when I say pulse, it's just like a way of working where I could touch almost any piece and apply life to it.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a key moment when you figure that out. Who are the other influences when you're younger that are influencing the way your speaking voice develops?
Now that's a damn good question because of these people. Probably Laurence Olivier, Ian McKellen, and James Earl Jones. Those are three people I watch damn near religiously.
Yeah.
Be-
Those are
because they're
classical
technical.
actors.
Yeah, but I wanted, you know, Uta Hagen said it's okay to copy someone when you're first starting out, but make sure you copy something really damn good.
Right.
And so I took Marlon Brando also. You know, I watched like those people who were just technically sound, had life in there, and they also were able to process with failure. You know, a lot of people when they fail or they make a mistake or something, they're just there in that box and they stop the process. For those people, it's just a part of life.
Right.
And those are the guys that are watching, people that are champions, because I think great actors really, not even the word fail, but make huge take huge risk, and they don't get the results that they want quite often.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
And I think that's a great part of it. It's just like really, really questioning life when you're up there.
Yeah, you've got to. So you're growing up with all these influences, and I want to hear those names that really, it's like, man, if I were to put those in a blender and it came out of your mouth, it would probably sound like you. Yeah. And there's so much strength and power in your speaking voice. And I think that's another one of the things that even as a young man, I was attracted to. And I think that's as a director, I think that is one of those things that as a director, what you're looking for is something that is different and powerful at the same time in anyone. Yeah. And you're really hopefully open to whatever, like letting that surprise you. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's like, if you see something and you've already seen it, it's less powerful. And if you see something and it seems new, but you don't get it and you don't know how to use it, well, then it's not that powerful either. But when I met you, even though you seem like this kind of feather in the wind, it still was like, there's a power there and it's grounded in something. And I just got to kind of get to know this guy and figure it out and see what we can do with it. When you moved to North Carolina in high school, and you go to a public high school in Kernersville, Texas, what's wrong with me? I'm tied into my own background. You go to a public high school in Kernersville, North Carolina, and your speaking voice sounds the way it does. How are other students reacting to meeting you?
Oh, it wasn't the students actually reacted fine. I got people, of course, imitated me. I've gotten roasted. I'm actually Caucasian. I've just gotten really roasted, over a course of time. And
that's a good fucking joke.
So my high school was roasting. That's how I learned, comedy. But who really reacted to it was some of the teachers who didn't know me. They thought that I was coming to pick up a student.
You've also got the mustache already growing in, and
hey, it's Joseph here. It's like, what the hell's wrong with this guy?
Penny's got a little league game. I've got to get him out of here.
Yeah, but that's how we actually learn comedy and things like that. I'm sure we'll get into, but like on the back of the school bus on the way home and to school, whenever I could ride the bus, we had roast sessions where you roast someone literally until they get off the bus. And that's how I really learned comedy.
You either learn that or it destroys you. I feel like those are the only two choices in that situation. How do you why do you think you picked that one? Why didn't it just like fuck you up? Like there's a friendliness in roasting, but there's also meanness in it because it's got to be tied to the truth or it's not fucking funny. So like these guys are saying mean things to you and you just met them. Why don't you just like collapse and cry and
Because I knew the intention was the intention wasn't to harm, even though they went in. We all went in. We went in heavy. But the intention was not to destroy a person. It was just, to roast them. And
it's your main chance to be a part of the group.
Yeah, that too. But I was always a soloist. I'm not sure I'm not solo now. I know how to work in teams, but I was always like, I make way more progress alone than I do with people, because my work ethic is a little bit more insane than many.
That's true, but you could easily work with other insane people. Why do you think you work better by yourself?
Well, that's why I asked to work with you, Rob. Don't think because I had glasses, I don't know you're insane. Who has a brick wall in their house? Who has a brick wall in their house? Rob
it fools most people. It's not real. I put this here.
And that's what makes you insane. You locked yourself in your own house.
Yeah, I put walls up around myself, literally, and they were already there.
Not to mention that black Tyler Perry Santa Claus you got back there.
Oh, you like my Medea Christmas Nutcracker?
It is Tyler Perry. I was roasted. That's actually him. Oh my gosh.
Check it out. Hello.
Dude, look at my
All
aunt.
right. How about that?
Aunt, what's
This
up?
is a trophy.
Yo, that's hilarious.
This
Is
is
he a
a
nutcracker?
It's an actual nutcracker. I've never
You
used it because I don't want to
you
get her
know how
dressed dirty.
hilarious that is. You have a Tyler Perry Santa Claus that cracks nuts.
That's right. We
I
bust
don't need to
balls
say
over
it.
here all day. This is my trophy for the first time I ever got something I wrote on television. And it was for a promo for Medea Christmas. And then the Lionsgate sent us like 6 of these to our team who made it. And everybody was like, these are fucking horrifying. I don't want this. Like, get it out of here. Yeah. Which I can't imagine why. I mean,
I know why. It looks like he's about to come to life and crack some nuts.
It's horrifying. No. But it's my little trophy, man. I wrote a thing, and then Larry the Cable Guy said it on television.
That's my dude.
I know, right? You got to take your fucking moments, your W's. She's my little W.
Imagine Medea coming down your chimney.
No, I won't be doing that. I'm not going to be doing that. There's other things to do. So when you get when you leave school, what's the trajectory for you, like after Showcase and shit like that? What do you do next?
I went for more school.
Where?
I went to Yale.
We did not talk about this.
I don't really talk about things.
That's the right way to do it, man. I feel like as soon as you go, here's the cool thing about School of the Arts, man. It's dope as shit and no one knows it's there. So it's cool to be like, I went to North Carolina School of the Arts. And when people are like, Chapel Hill, you're like, fuck no. Then you start telling them what's going on. Yeah. When you tell anyone you went to any Ivy League school, anyone, just take what you got from it and shh. That's my opinion on the whole thing. You don't even need to say you went to Harvard, went to Yale, Cornell, all that shit. Man, mad respect. Mad respect on how you play it.
Harry Potter never said, "Oh, I go to Hogwarts."
Yeah,
but he's still fucking you up, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly right. That's a very good comparison. You're basically the Black Harry Potter. I feel like everybody says that about you. That's the first thing they say.
I can't use my wand in public though.
Yeah, of course not. And please don't. I'd like to keep talking to you from
black
time
magic.
To time.
It's part of the dark arts.
I'm going to have to practice my defense against your dark arts for the sake of my own safety. When do you pivot into comedy, man? Yale drama, that's pretty classical acting. And now you're doing comedy.
Yeah. So I did comedy. This is actually my 16th year doing stand-up. I've always done it. I started when I was 15 years old, and I actually did I did comedy almost in damn every city, everywhere I touched. So I've performed pretty much everywhere.
Again, how do you keep that a mystery?
It was like a hobby. I never planned to do stand-up as a profession. I worked really hard at it as if I were going to, but I didn't want to be taken as a joke. So I thought that stand-up wasn't like a real, like, I know Steve Harvey and people did it, but I never thought it was like, I don't know, I'm a serious dude. I'm not a joke.
So you can't be a stand-up comedian and an Oscar-winning actor at the same time.
At that time, my mind was limited to think that way.
Because you didn't know who Jamie Foxx was.
Because of that, yeah. I had no idea. He was Wanda at the time. Do you know Wanda?
Wanda Sykes?
No. Jamie, when he turned into Wanda.
His character Wanda. Yes.
Yeah. So I didn't know it was Jamie.
Right. Yeah. You didn't pick up the lesson. Yeah. Dude, I haven't thought about Wanda in so long. Eat your heart out, Martin Lawrence. So what is the journey then after Yale? When do you graduate from there?
Oh, so my journey with Yale, I actually got injured while I was in the program.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I actually suffered a spinal injury at the Yale School of Drama. Again, not something I tell people. I talk about it in my next show, but I just don't, unless you're like, I don't really tell people,
Are you okay to tell me that story? Because that's pretty crazy.
Oh yeah, it's all good.
At what point in your journey and what happened?
It was at the end of my first year. I had a spinal injury. I was training in Grotowski, which is like the hardest form of physical movement for an actor to ever attempt.
Right.
And I can actually tell you because you're an artist. You might actually understand what actually happened.
Sure.
When you're talking and listening and talking and stuff like that, I was absorbing someone who had horrible energy while we were training. And my back, I felt it loosen up, and I took a chance to allow them in while we were working. And my back after that, literally, I didn't run into anything. I stood up, collapsed to the ground. And I actually made it outside to the snow and passed out. And from there, whatever, I'll just tell you guys. So um, there was a mentor who was there. I'm not going to state their name. Well, and I was asking them for help in the snow, and they told me they had to catch their train. So I was left, crawled in the snow to the hospital alone, where I blacked out. And after that, uh, yeah, my career took a slide.
What happened next?
Next, I was on the streets of New York, back where I started before School of the Arts. And I was on medications in a wheelchair, had some crutches, and no place to stay again, didn't know where to go. And I was delusional from the medication for the pain in my back, wasn't able to stand or even shower on my own. So I had to pray for some rainfall from God above. So I'm terrible. But yeah, I was just walking around the streets rolling around the streets with nothing.
And then?
Then got enough money to go to my friend's couch in the mountains in Boone, North Carolina.
Okay.
And while I was homeless, I booked a role next to Ellen Page. Well, she was then Ellen Page,
Elliot now, yeah.
Yeah. So I booked a role while I was homeless in Boone, North Carolina. And then it was a role as a homeless man. So I'm next to Ellen Page. And I'll tell you a crazy story about that. The show's called Tallulah. And while I was homeless, I was in New York doing character work actually on the streets, and the homelessness didn't hit as hard. So, because I was like, I'm homeless, but I've got a schedule for once. And so I actually got dressed up in makeup and doing the things, and I went around begging people in New York for money as this homeless man. And I made more money than I ever have in my fucking life. And then I ended up, I went over to the crafts table, and the team were yelling at me, "Get out of here, get out of here. You can't touch the crafts. Don't touch the crafts. You can't eat here. Get out of here." And I started walking away, and I started crying a little bit, tearing up. They're treating me like absolute shit. And then the director and the producer come over, was like, "No, no, no, no. He's on the show. He's in the movie. He's in the film." So then they all were like, "Oh, feeling so sorry and so bad," and all this stuff. And I was like, "Wow, now I'm in character." And so
yeah,
I went
dude, fuck you and thank you. And
yeah. So then I go and I'm next to Ellen Page, and I'm sorry, I know Elliot, but I'm next to her at the time, and man, I just remembered thinking this could be the last ever. So I just went as hard as possible. And the scene didn't have enough bite for me to really, Daniel Day-Lewis that, but
right.
it was, I took full advantage of what I had. And yeah, we had a good time on the set.
What was the reception like on set after your scene? How did the director, everybody, how'd they feel about your work?
Well, they kept telling them to put the camera on me. So, Sean, if you're watching, thank you very much. It's from Sean Heder, the writer of Orange Is the New Black. Sean, if you're watching, thank you. But they were a very cool, great team to work with, honestly. And
so how does that change your trajectory from wheeling around New York to Boone to now you did this thing and it's legit and you're like got to be changing the way you're thinking about things. What happens next?
I had $500. My spine was still messed up. I didn't let them know because I needed to live. And I was homeless with $500. And so I went back to the mountains and I worked, I don't know how many jobs. It's practically, it's America. It's practically slavery. And
North Carolina economy is atrocious.
Terrible.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah. I mean, they quote you a number that sounds horrible. And then you got to talk to the tax guy.
Yeah. I remember after that, my favorite thing of leaving North Carolina was telling people how much money I made at IHOP. I would be like, I made $2.15 an hour. And then because they had a food waste problem, they took 50 cents an hour out of every one of our paychecks every hour because they had to cover their food costs because people were stealing shit. And that went towards our shift meal. So I really only made $1.65 an hour.
Goodness. Wow.
And I worked second shift at IHOP, not first shift. So I worked dinner at IHOP.
Wow.
And if you think that money is good, you need to go to Waffle House because
wow. Yeah. Dude,
$1.65 an hour, and then plus, hey, I made $65 tonight in cash tips. Like,
yeah, I'm telling you, right? And then you gotta,
Now my 2-bedroom apartment was $525 a month. So living in LA now, that sounds pretty good, but even then, it's not balanced. It's not a good situation.
The only thing missing in the workforce today in America are slave hymns. Like, I think we're basically should be required to sing slave hymns at this point. Like, I don't think there's anything that's the only way that American workforce is going to survive. We all got to sing. We have to sing.
Like, yeah. Hey, they're singing in the streets of LA right now because we're on strike, baby.
That's what I'm saying. That's how slaves survive. That's the only way to survive Waffle House or Walmart, someplace like this. You gotta swing low. I don't know how much lower this damn chariot can swing. I don't know. Good God,
So you're $500 to your name. Your back's still messed up, but you did Tallulah, so you got your head on a little bit straighter. What's next in the story?
Yeah, I had hope that would lead to something, but I just focused on my health again and working on jokes. I did a half hour in Boone, North Carolina. Just started to make some money with crowds and. Just realized, man, it's really just me. It's really at the end of the day, if I don't work and produce, because I think at some point we all feel like, why aren't other alumni just calling each other and helping each other work? And, you got all these availabilities, but no one owes anyone anything. But I do feel like, why not?
Yeah. But there's also only so little of that even can go around. And you have to be in such a very specific position to be able to offer that to anybody else, especially depending on what they do. Right. Like, for example, I have a job as a TV producer. That's my job title. I produce a TV show. It's on real cable TV. And people hear that, especially other people we went to school with. They're like, oh, cool. Well, like, what can you tell me about auditions, or what can you tell me about, like, help me out, like, help me understand. And I'm like, I work in reality TV, and I specifically have a history in competitive dance shows. So if you're one of the best dancers in the world, we can talk.
Okay, call me.
Or if you're interested in romantically in someone who lives out of the country and you're thinking about bringing them in on a K-1 visa, I might have something for you. But those are the very specific circumstances I can help you out in. And even if you wanted to transition, let's say, into doing what I do, let's say you and I went to college together and you're like, fuck this comedy acting bullshit. I want to make TV shows. Rob, can I make TV shows with you? Let me come make TV shows with you. I would be like, bro, great. And you wouldn't be the first person to talk to me that way. And you wouldn't be the first person for me to be like, that would be dope. Ain't no spots on my team, bro. There ain't no spots on my team. And when they come up, I am not the guy who fills the spots on my team. I have one assistant That is like the person I kind of get to put my name in and say, if he's going to leave, I'd like to get blah, blah, blah. Or I'm picking between two people, maybe. But I'm on a team of like 8 people and my boss picks everybody. And I can be like, hey, job coming up, you should pick Dev. I've done that 3 times. Good people. Boss came back. Hey, they're good. I got to go with this other person for whatever reason. So even with people actively trying to help,
vouching,
there just is only so much room for that, because at the end of the day, it's casting directors, it's executive producers, it's people in very key roles who are actually going to be able to go, okay, buddy, you get it. It's you. Like, and the rest of us got hired too.
Like, that's how they all sounded, man.
Yeah. It's you, buddy.
It's you, buddy. You've got it.
We're obsessed with you. If I'm being honest with you, we're all obsessed with you right now. It's
they usually do sound like that. I've been in a lot of rooms.
Oh, I know. That's why I have the voice down so well. It's a character, and it's a big part of what's happening. I think the same thing all the time, and I think it's also really easy if you ever hit a wall to be like, wait, aren't I a part of a gigantic network of incredibly talented people? Shouldn't that catch me to some degree? And I think it can if you get lucky, but you also have to keep all of those relationships fresh. You've got to feel like all of those people are at least like up to date with where you're at, because let's say someone wanted to give you in particular something. Let's say this. Let's point out some stand-up comedian alumni. Let's say Ashley Austin Morris. Let's say Brett Gelman. Let's say some of these people who have gone to School of the Arts, become professional stand-up comedians. How many of them know you do stand-up? If that's not the case, how the fuck would they help you? Even if they were like, oh shit, I've got a 5-minute spot to open for me on the next thing. But they can't because they fucking don't know that you're there. It's not your fault. You didn't go to school with them. You went to school fucking 10, 15, 20 years later. But that's the thing that fucks you up when you're at the school, because they tell you when you get out the net, man, we got you. We're a pickles for life. And it's like, that's true. Dude. Look, here we are. But how much does that turn into this? Really?
Not at all. Listen, they build you up. They're good at building you up, and you feel like you're the shit. And you are, but then you get flushed by the industry.
Yeah. But you need to feel like you're the shit, or you never will be. So the best swing at the fence is, let's at least get them delusional, and maybe it'll work. I think that's maybe the only way, because how else?
It's true. You
can't feed them with a bunch of like, but don't try too hard. It's really difficult. Like, you can't give them that. They need to be launched out. Like, I'm fucking Superman and I'm here to save the whole planet.
Dude, I literally thought it was like impossible for me to not make it.
Right.
Because, when you're working that hard on something, on any profession, you would think, these people know how to set you up. There's no formula for this shit. If you're a real estate agent, you got this and that. You're a doctor, you got this and that. If you're an artist, there are steps. But if you don't have people introducing to you at certain points, you're not building it. So now you're in the middle of your fucking career, and you got to learn how to actually build a staircase to where you already are.
Right. And you've only spent the last 4 years really spending any time with like 28 other people that you're lucky if half of them get you, click with you, vibe with you, and want to continue being tight with you afterwards. And that's not like a fuck you to anybody. That's just people. That's just personalities. You're not gonna vibe with every person.
Not
so
at
you
all.
Build that's at school, and then you leave, and then you leave, and you're like, oh, she's in real estate. Oh, she went and had 2 kids. Oh, he's like gonna go do this now, and it dwindles, and and you're like, I better meet some of the other fucking people that went to this school or this network they promised me.
Yeah. Oh my god, who's still acting?
Yeah.
I think one of my classmates sell juice now. Like juice.
Great. Like, everybody needs different. Juice, man.
Tell that to OJ.
I thought you were going to say tell it to Nicole Brown Simpson, but that you got all close enough.
That would be impossible.
Yeah. That's fair.
If you know someone.
Right. I talk to Ron Goldman every weekend.
But I think that's one of the gifts too, Rob. It's like you build an ensemble for 4 years. And I think that the mentors, the teachers have in their mind that you guys are going to continue those connections to be able to build things outside. And that doesn't usually happen, but what it is.
It's all over the place, man. I will tell you, as someone who's actually spent the last 10 years studying it because of this show and because of so many other dynamics. I was in Winston-Salem for 7 years and on and off with different classes that I felt close to. I spent a lot of time talking to these people, man. And I'll say this.
Yeah.
I think the effort from at least back in the day, to build an ensemble that has that potential, I think that effort is there every single time. It's fucking hard. They're kids, and kids grow up a lot between 17 and 25. And so the idea that those 17-year-olds that all maybe, let's say you do cast a whole ensemble that all clicks together. The idea that they're all still going to click when they're 25 is delusional. That's naive as shit.
Yeah, oh, for sure. For sure.
And so I think they try. And what's miraculous, Dev, is when it does happen. When you go to New York and you see you go to some, oh, hey, I'm meet up with an old friend. And they're like, let's go to this party. And you're like, there's fucking 20 of your classmates here. You guys are all still fucking hanging out with each other all the time? And they're like, well, not all the time. I haven't seen him in 2 weeks. And you're like, okay, so all the fucking time. What? Yeah, and it's that's cool, I guess, for them if that happens to be the case. But the exception proves the rule. That's so rare.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're 30 and they're still friends with the same people they were when they were 17. That's not most
very
people.
Rare.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's good for most people. If it's good for them, great. But for me, I'm a lot of my friends from when I was 17, not a fan of them anymore. No. It's not their fault. We just grew apart.
Yeah. Well, I don't know who's alive in my class still. You never know. I talked to one, Gus. That's
yeah.
That's the one dude I talk to every 6 months.
Well, next May be 10 years since you graduated, my guy. So maybe you'll have a reunion. You'll get to figure out who's dead and alive.
Oh, I can't go back until I'm famous. I got to be able to shit on.
You have the rules backwards, my friend. I don't know if you've ever been to an alumni event. You don't go back once you're famous.
Oh, wow.
You only go back.
There you go.
And if you go back when you're famous, you go back alone. You don't go back and you sit on the stage with everybody else. You sit down as Dane DeHaan and you get the whole stage, except your wife, Anna, who also went to school at the same time. But exception proves the rule.
Yo, could you imagine sitting in between Dane DeHaan and Elizabeth Lail, and you're like, yeah, I got cast as a cashier at Walmart.
I'll be like, so you guys like 90 Day Fiance or no?
Yeah. Hey, Dane, you need a butler? I cut real good turkey. Oh, shit. I can't wait. Well, what can I say? Dane's a cool cat, man. Let me just, without throwing too much out there, Dane, if you're watching this, I literally feel like I keep leaving he's not watching?
No.
All right.
Sorry.
Well, if any of his friends are,
we'll clip it out and send it to him for sure.
Okay. Well, Dane, I appreciate you, man, because he actually wrote me twice 2 letters during difficult times of my, in career and stuff like that. So, and that's
good, man. There's your fucking network.
That's a cool dude. Oh, he doesn't talk to me now, but I just mean,
but that's not nothing. And that never would have happened if you didn't go to the same college as him.
Yeah, it wasn't just like a thank you type of thing or a paragraph. The guy actually wrote me specific stuff.
That is what I'm saying as far as that's the value of the network of the pickle thing. That's where it is. Yeah. It's not you're always going to get a job or they're going to be with you, be your best man, your wedding. But the idea that people will, this show is a great testament. The number of people who have taken this interview with me, this chat with me, that have done this show without knowing me at all. Because they're like, oh, well, fucking NCSA, dude. Like, what's up? Like, we'll talk.
Yeah,
I will give you benefit of the doubt. I'm sure you're not up to some bullshit. I'm sure you're not trying to get something from me. Who cares? And I am not. And they find that out when we talk. And
for sure.
But that's also the benefit, I think, of me doing this show from my perspective and not being an actor and not being someone who's in theater or film in that same way, especially because no one has anything I need. Like, I don't need, you know what I mean? They don't have, other than a conversation with them about who they are. That I need. I want
that's
that.
Cool.
That's all I want. Awesome. That's all I need. Other than that, what are they going to give me? Like, I've got my own thing. And I think that's what I love about you, bros. I think you're that way too. As much as the hookup is a good thing to have from time to time, you so clearly thrive in this life on like your own hustle and that walk to the fucking school and the, you know, almost not getting in and those moments where your fucking feet saved your ass. Not, you know, and the feet and the generosity of that one other person or that one other recognition. And it was because they saw the feet and they saw the work and they were like, we can't let this fucking work go to waste. What is he going to do? Walk back to Kernersville and bag groceries? This kid gives a shit. You know how many kids give a shit? Like none of them.
Not this year. Not these years. Yeah. 2023. No. I haven't met a person that cares in a long time.
Hey, I care. And I like you, buddy. I care and I like you.
Do a fucking car commercial, man. I care and I like
Absolutely. Dev Ready for it. Come on down. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, man. I really, really enjoyed this.
For sure, man. Thanks for having me. And I hope you're able to come out to the damn show. Well, you can't. You're in California.
I am unfortunately many miles away, and I've got to travel to Texas soon, so I'm a little booked up. But I very much would like to talk again. And I would like if you are in the Los Angeles area doing any stand up, please don't not let me know.
I'll definitely be back out there, man. I missed those clubs, dude. It was a Flappers, Laugh Factory, Comedy Store. I ran the whole mill out there in 2017. So working it. I love it.
Yeah, we did some comedy together while you were out here.
Man, it's a cool place. It's a cool ass place.
Well, we look forward to it, man.
All right. Are we wrapping up?
We're done, buddy. Do you have any final words for the listeners, for the viewers?
Oh, sure. Let me just shout out my own. So at the Stevens Center, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, at 9 p.m. on June 17th, I'll be doing my hour comedy special. I'm taping A Lion in the Darkness. If you come there, just say UNCSA at the box office and you'll get some VIP hookups, as well as something else I'm doing. I don't know. Oh, it's going to be on the radio. What is it? 107.5 and 97.1 Monday for the next 4 or 5 weeks. We'll be blasting it. So tune into the radio. We'll be there. And as always, if you're not down with Dev Ready, you were never ready in the first damn place.
I love it.